Janet, really appreciate you coming in. I wanted an opportunity to welcome you to Muskoka, first of all, and also find out a bit about what you're going to be bringing to the table. Right. So before we start with that, I do want to hear a bit about your background in the tourism industry and also your connection to Muskoka. We were chatting a bit before the interview, and you were telling me that you do have quite a bit of connection to the area.
Yeah, so thank you, James, for having me today. I'm thrilled to be here, excited to be taking on this role at such an important time in the recovery for tourism in the area. I grew up, a bit of odd, I grew up in the US, but I'm Canadian and spent every summer up here in the area. So to me, it's exciting to be back here and locating here full time and being part of the area. So really excited about the challenge.
So what is your background in tourism right now, or in the sort of industry of tourism?
Yeah, so my background is in basically in two areas: in the management of not-for-profit organizations, which Muskoka Tourism Marketing Agency is, and then in tourism I've worked in the cycling industry, the boating industry with Boating Ontario, the Marine Operators Association, and then most recently I was actually working with the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario, where I was managing a Careers in Tourism project. And as we know, workforce development is very important for the operators for retaining those staff members, affordable housing, all those issues. So really understand those issues, and of course the importance of marketing the area. Of course, we're in a challenge now where we are doing more hyper-local marketing, and we're looking at that and how we can really work with the different partners we have on that.
Yeah, for sure. And you'd mentioned to me you were on the Ontario Tourism Board as well?
Well, I worked for the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario, which is the advocacy voice for tourism to the Ontario government. So, for example, just yesterday I was on some Zoom meetings. It was the annual Tourism Queen's Park Day, and I was able to get on board with them and take part in some of those meetings with MPPs and talk about the importance of tourism and some of the key points that we're looking for support for tourism operators.
Very cool. All right, so bringing quite a wealth of information into the area, which is good because, you know, as you mentioned, I mean, there's quite a struggle right now in terms of how tourism is working. I'll get to that in a minute, but I do want to talk a bit about your plans moving forward. Overall, not just with the focus on COVID-19, but I mean, we're going to get past that eventually. What are some of the things you're going to be looking at as you know, running the Muskoka Tourism? Yeah,
so Muskoka Tourism is really the agency that represents all of Muskoka. So our partnerships, of course, with Huntsville, Lake of Bays, this whole area, and beyond that, Bracebridge, Gravenhurst, the whole area. It's a lot about partnerships with the BIAs, the chambers, with Explorer's Edge. So it's a lot of partnerships. So I'll be working with them to make sure that we're marketing and creating content for the area that's really going to speak to people about the area, because although we're marketing Muskoka, we want people to understand that Huntsville, Bracebridge, Gravenhurst, all the different parts, Lake of Bays, everywhere, it's all part of Muskoka.
And you had mentioned too that you have connections with James Murphy from the RTO 12. Can you tell me a bit about how that relationship might work?
Yeah, so I met James, of course, when I was working for the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario, and it's very important as they are the regional tourism organization for this area and a little bit beyond, that we have a good working relationship with them.
Fantastic. So let's talk about fall tourism coming up, because that is sort of a hot topic right now. We're in the mix of maybe coming into a second wave, but also wanting to try to get a bit more squeezed out of the summer because we've had a difficult time, right? So where do you find that balance right now? I know, again, this is your first week, so I know you're coming into this.
Today's actually day 7, so I'm a whole week in now.
Okay, so, you know, how do you see that working?
Yeah, it's, you know, typically this time of year is a lot of international travel, coming to see the fall colors, the boat tours that are still operating, things like the Bala Cranberry Fall Cranberry Festival that aren't happening, but we have the Muskoka Cranberry Route. That's a whole separate website, muskokacranberry.ca, that talks about different places you can go. And so there are still things happening. and it's how we're managing the communication about what's still happening. I know Ontario Parks has put out some conversation about how to safely see the colors. We want to make sure that people know we're open, we're welcoming them, and what to expect when they get up here.
And I'm guessing at the same time keeping that aspect of social distancing and
right.
You know,
it's all in the language that we use, and making sure that people, I think the real key is to make people understand what they're going to encounter when they get up here. So if they're coming from outside the area, we want them to know that yes, you know, the same protocols they have at home are probably in place here.
Absolutely.
But come, we're open, we're ready. We have, you know, I noticed today when I was driving up here, the trees are really starting to change. So
yeah.
It's starting to happen, and it's still something to see, and there's so much to see outdoors here, so there's still plenty to offer.
Well, and I just want to address the other side of it too, Janet, because I know there is concern. You know, people are always worried about, you know, tourism coming up during this pandemic and, you know, the spread of the virus, right? So again, I know that you are working to find that balance and also offer that sort of security for people, as well as probably trying to cater to the local people as well, because we're talking about hyper-local and staycations and things like that, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this is the time, if ever, if you're local here and you haven't taken advantage of some of the tourism products and experiences here, now's the time to do it, you know, because it's, you know, it's close and you can do it and things are open. So why not go on that boat cruise? Why not take that drive and go visit the Cranberry Marsh?
Fantastic. Well, Janet, I really look forward to the things you're going to be doing in this role. I know you're meeting with District Council next week, so good luck with that. And we will probably check in with you soon to see how things are going. Hopefully next year you have a bit more on your plate in terms of tourism and what's happening. But listen, I really appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, James.
All right.